booty, show me the booty, give me the booty, I want the booty.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking, and here I am covering a game I'm sure at least one person out there wants to see, because this time I'm looking at Gotham Knights, developed by WB Games Montreal and released in October of 2022. Not to be confused with the god-awful CW show of the same name, though they do share some similarities. Not that you'll notice, because no one watched that show.
Because your birth certificate says you were born.
Don't use his dead name.
Fine. I got another dead name for him. Bruce Wayne.
Ford, take a walk.
Gotham Knights is made by the same studio that made the vastly underrated Arkham Origins and takes place in an entirely different universe despite Batman's death being a central element of the plot. Despite everyone and their Bat-hound wanting another Batman game, WB Games Montreal instead decided to give us a journey following Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood as they investigate the mysterious surroundings of their Batriarch's death. So let's see how good of a job they do filling Bruce's massive bat boots, and while we're at it, give it everything we've got! The game begins with an admittedly badass extended fight scene between Batman and Ra's al Ghul in the Batcave, with Ra's mysterious new powers being too much for Batman to handle all on his own. He fights his hardest, ultimately realizing he can't beat Ra's and opting instead to blow up the entire Batcave, killing both of them in the process. In about 8 minutes, this game did the end of Batman way more respectfully than the entirety of Arkham Knight, so it at least has that accomplishment. Though accomplishing that is like breaking a hurdles record set by Stephen Hawking. You know, because he's dead. Bruce Wayne is also dead, and he is eulogized by his uncle Jacob Kane. Wait, why the f*** is Barbara wearing sunglasses? It's overcast and rainy, not to mention she's at a fucking funeral!
I'm gonna put the fun in funeral.
Where was I? Oh yeah, Jacob Kane eulogizing Bruce Wayne while no one questions how Bruce Wayne and Batman died at the same time. A pre-recorded video from Bruce to the four Knights shows him handing over his protection duty to the four of them, saying it's only a matter of time before criminals start to realize a black-clad bat creature isn't stopping their actions and breaking bones they didn't know they had. Our four heroes, well, more like 3 heroes and a sidekick, meet up and discuss a case Batman was working on before he died. One he said could shake the foundation of Gotham to its very core, and the only lead they have to go off of is that it involved Dr. Kirk Langstrom.
I don't like where this is going.
Why him, Bruce? His experiments don't exactly bat 1,000. There's also the small issue of Ra's al Ghul's body being in the GCPD morgue, as they're worried about the League of Assassins retrieving their dear leader for a trip to Lazarus, and the fact that Gotham City now has an anti-vigilante task force for some reason, led by Catherine Kane. With 4 cooks in the kitchen and a lot of meals to make, it's up to the player to decide who pays a visit to Dr. Langstrom, with the others going back to their Belfry base in the Union Station clock tower to get it up and running. You get to pick between the bulky Red Hood, who has a gun that fires rubber bullets because WB Games Montreal are cowards, the elite uber hacker man Batgirl, the flippity-dippity Jim Cornette nightmare Nightwing, and the utterly fucking pointless Robin.
When I first met you, I thought you were weird and annoying. And you are.
I went with Batgirl because she's purple and so is the game's logo. What, the game just started, I had nothing else to go off of. Given that the Arkham game started with a riot, a forced imprisonment, a riot again, and a mass evacuation, finding one doctor at a university should be a cakewalk.
So we got a positive ID on this faculty dude. Kirk Langstrom.
Alright, good start. Speaking of cakewalks, shout out to whichever employee at WB Games Montreal decided to give Barbara the greatest butt in the history of video games.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
You did not have to do that. No one was expecting you to do that. But you went ahead and did it anyway, you absolute legend. Though maybe you could have put some of that development time into the actual moving around because it's nowhere near as smooth as you'd expect, especially compared to the Arkham games. And the game has some of the pitfalls of modern AAA titles, like being constantly online unless you specifically change that, and having emotes. Batgirl decides to investigate Dr. Langstrom's office to see if she can find out what happened to him. Besides, you know, death, and that leads her to using AR mode to scan the room, like the Arkham series' detective mode, but nowhere near as cool, which really just describes this whole game. She finds some scratches and follows them to a trashed lab that is clearly the scene of the crime, though not where the body was found. How no cops on the scene managed to even stumble upon this tarnished room of bloodshedded ruin is Batman beyond me, but we move on. A quick investigation leads to the discovery of a secret door, though the code to open it is a whole different mystery, albeit a fairly easy one. Occasionally, while investigating a crime scene, you will have to link information together to form conclusions, sort of like Telltale's Batman games. In this instance, she finds the secret code on a notebook and types it into a microwave. Evil scientists, you know? The secret lab contains tanks of dead ocean life, typical scientist, and a hard drive to be decrypted at the Belfry. However, Batgirl's night isn't over just yet, as the criminal gang known as the Freaks arrive and start torching shit for no discernible reason.
I'm the Joker, baby!
As she goes through, the Conflagration campus serves as the introduction to Gotham Knights' combat mechanics that tries way too hard to be different for no reason. Instead of the crisp and quick system of strikes, counters, and gadgets, now there's light attacks, heavy attacks, evades, ranged attacks, and heavy ranged attacks. It's not offensively terrible or anything, it's just not as good as it should be, especially when you consider these developers are sitting on the code to the Arkham combat and actively decided not to use it. The commotion of the Freaks is summoning the GCPD, and as I mentioned earlier, vigilantes are a no-go in Gotham at the Mo, so Barbara has to flee the scene on her Bat-Cycle, which is the Batmobile from Arkham Knight, but the way people actually wanted it. You just use it to zoom around Gotham City, and notably, not use it to fight endless waves of tanks and solve countless puzzles. Batgirl arrives at the Belfry to find that the others really didn't hold up their end of the deal because this place is a barely operational mess. Luckily, someone skilled in cleaning bat messes arrives to help them out. However, since playing a superhero game where all you do is clean an old clock tower sounds like the most boring thing since that time I had to fix a portal, someone has to go out and take care of the random crimes plaguing Gotham, something that will be aided by upgrades. The upgrade system is a mix of Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight, and if you recall, my opinions on those weren't exactly shining. Each character has their own upgrade group of upgrade trees and upgrade points, with each upgrade having a point value, and you earn an upgrade point every time you level up. Upgrade. Batgirl especially has some powerful upgrades like being able to regain health every time she defeats an enemy, hacking into electrical equipment, disabling enemy guns, and becoming completely invisible to cameras and turrets. Also, if you level up while playing as one character, every other character will also get an upgrade point, which is very nice. Along with upgrades, there's also momentum abilities. You build up momentum by beating the bat crap out of enemies, and a full momentum bar allows you to perform special moves. More abilities are unlocked by completing challenges throughout the game, like completing all the training exercises. The first upgrade Batgirl has to get is Perfect Evade, which is just a counter with extra steps. Instead of just pressing a button to counter an enemy, you have to evade their attack at just the right time to create a window for you to perform a counterattack. It's pretty dumb. With all that out of the way, Barbara heads back out into Gotham City in our first taste of this game's open world. I know some people think Gotham looks ugly in this game, but I actually think it looks pretty good. But then again, I can hardly tell the difference between 30 and 60 FPS, so what do I know? Anyway, since Gotham is basically just modern day New York or Los Angeles, crimes are abundant and constant. Randomly generated crimes will appear around you on the map, and stopping them will reward you with clues. The more clues you have, the more premeditated crimes you unlock the next night.
Where's the crime?
Premeditated crimes are tougher crimes to take down, but there are plenty of rewards for doing so beyond basic XP. I like it, it's like an evolution of the crimes in progress in Arkham Origins. Speaking of Arkham Origins, Batgirl has to repeat a mission from that game once she's informed that the hard drive requires a biodecryption key, so she has to break into the GCPD morgue to find it. It is worth mentioning that none of the characters can glide. The only methods of transportation around the city are the Bat-Cycle and the grappling hook. For now. But hey, at least you can accidentally on purpose kill people. When arriving at the GCPD, you'll notice there's a bonus objective. They're optional add-ons to your missions, and while there's no punishment for failing them, you will get boosted XP for succeeding, so try your best. Once inside, we see that the GCPD has fallen from their glory under Commissioner Gordon, who is also dead, by the way. Corruption has spread under Commissioner Catherine Kane, with the only remnant of the Gordon era being Detective Renee Montoya. Inside the bullpen is the introduction to cameras in this game's limited stealth mechanics. They'll detect you if you walk in their sights, and you need to find the nearby control panel to shut them down. Or just get Batgirl's upgrade where they can no longer detect her and forget they exist entirely. Now let's hope her first time in the morgue goes better than Batman's.
Belfry, Talia Ghul is here.
Copy that. Be careful.
You know you can't beat me. My beloved has trained you well. I remember him telling you to stay out of Gotham. Dead men's wishes don't concern me. Besides, I'm here to clean up my father's mess. Which in this case is the demon himself.
If I had a nickel for every time someone in a Batman game walked into a morgue and saw a dead parent, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's strange that it's happened twice. And at least the dead parent wasn't hers this time around. Batgirl finds the biodecryption key with the power of blood, while Talia is more of a Crips fan and alerts the GCPD to the infiltration, though the rest of the Knights cut the power to assist in the escape. As a way to deter players from attacking the cops, it's repeatedly made clear that there's no point to, as they don't reward any XP points. Once escaped, it's time to out of there back to the Belfry to end the night, where you are shown a summary of your actions that night. I really like that they went away from the all-in-one night format of the Arkham series, as it opens up more storytelling avenues without stretching the suspension of disbelief. One of the few times that straying from the formula is actually to their benefit. Barbara analyzes Langstrom's hard drive and finds hard evidence that he was experimenting on criminals. Then they switch tabs to their Tony Stark technology to talk about Ra's and Talia al Ghul, and agree that their next step is to find Talia and interrogate her about the whole dead Batman thing. Now that day 1 has passed, a few more things have opened up. For starters, you can now interrogate criminals after scanning to find informants and gather more clues. You can also use the workbench to craft upgraded suits, melee weapons, and ranged weapons using materials gathered from chests and quests. There's actually a lot of variety in the gear here and the mods you can equip to them, but the system isn't perfect. I would have preferred if they went the Hogwarts Legacy approach and let you change the appearance of your gear so you can look however you want regardless of what you have equipped. But I can't really blame a game for not taking inspiration for a game that hadn't come out yet. There's also the emails tab that rarely has anything actually important, though it does introduce 3 collectibles: batarangs, historical landmarks, and street graffiti littered across the city. Then there's this cutscene.
Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, expecting Bruce to call me for help. And then I remember. I thought it might have been one of you calling just now. I was worried. Old habits, I suppose.
I get it. Waiting for the calls to come in, it was the hardest part of being Oracle. Being out there again, it's different. But Bruce was right. Gotham needs us.
And I'll be here to support you.
This one scene serves 2 purposes: introducing the most essential side activity in the game and highlighting the game's biggest issue. On the positive end, this introduces the knighthood challenges for each character. Completing all of a character's knighthood challenges unlocks their hero travel ability, an extra way of getting around the city. Batgirl's is gliding, in case you weren't convinced she's the best character in this game. Speaking of the characters, you are now free to switch between any of the 4 of them at the Belfry whenever you want, regardless of what mission you're doing or where you are in the story. While it's definitely a cool idea, it doesn't serve the plot in any way, nor are the characters balanced well enough for it. Red Hood's strength is nice and all, but he's way too clunky and slow to be fun to play as. Nightwing is style over substance, as his flashy moves don't really accomplish dick, and Robin is utterly useless as a stealth specialist in a game where I can count the amount of stealth segments on one hand with fingers to spare, especially since Batgirl's upgrades make her a much better fit for stealth, and she's stronger than Robin in combat to boot. But I'm an equal opportunity employer, so we're gonna follow each of these characters at least once. Since he got done dirty last time, let's join the Red Hood gang and see if he's less of a joke this time around. While Barbara analyzes Talia's knife for things she can trace, clearly Batman didn't train them in the art of sneaky tracker placement, Jason has to go around and interrogate criminals to learn more about Kirk Langstrom's experiments, and the first time players will really feel how grindy this game tends to be.
Grind, mad grind, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nothing but the grind. I'm on the grind. My house, this ain't a normal house. It's a grind house.
There will be many times where you will have to go all around the map, stopping crimes to get XP and crafting materials for better gear, all with a combat system that pales in comparison to its predecessor. If they had stuck with the Arkham combat, I guarantee a lot fewer people would have a problem with this game's grind. I recommend putting on some music or a podcast or something while you're not doing main story stuff, especially if you're going for the Platinum Trophy. After learning enough nothing from interrogations, Talia is located, and the Red Hood and his weird strings can confront the Green Hood. She says Ra's trying to kill Batman makes no sense since he wanted Bruce to take his place as leader of the League of Assassins, and that she has been cast out by the group. She also gives one final warning that the League will come after Gotham once they regroup, and then dips. Or dives. From one bat-crazy woman to another, Jason learns that the others just received a video message from everyone's favorite basic white girl Halloween costume and Hot Topic icon, Harley Quinn. Oh, this should be good.
It's weird, cause I heard a rumor that you were dead.
Oh boy.
Anyway, I got what you wanted. Hope that ain't what got you dead. So come visit me at Blackgate. Ooh.
Wait, hasn't Harley Quinn been out of Gotham ever since, you know, her ex?
Killed me? Isn't that what you meant? Rumor has it she did some government thing. Went straight-ish.
So are we just done with putting Joker and Harley together then? Instead, we're just gonna find out how many different fucking ways we can reboot the Suicide Squad! Before paying a visit to our darling Harling, I want to bring attention to this cutscene.
I don't remember that.
What? No, you have to. It was the same year. You know what? Never mind. Dumb story anyway.
Well, I could tell you a story. It's about being dead, then brought back to life by a pit of mind-altering goo.
Hey, I didn't mean...
I don't know what's worse. Having a chunk of my life taken away from me, or coming back to everyone thinking I'm gonna snap.
I'm sorry, Jason. We shouldn't have... I shouldn't have treated you like an outsider.
My God, you're such a Boy Scout. No wonder you were the first.
There are interactions between the Knights scattered throughout this game that do a great job of showing the similarities and differences in the characters, as well as handling the massive weight that is the death of Batman. It's a shame they're all optional and easily missable, like this one.
I keep waiting for him to step down and, I don't know, give some inspiring speech. Tell us to get back to work. Jesus, Jim. You would have hated this. They put you on an actual damn pedestal.
Maybe he'd understand. He always said people needed symbols. Something to believe in.
Yeah, but we both know he meant you bats. Not him. Except with the squared up jawline and better glasses.
They changed his face?
Yeah, it's hard to tell from here, but it looks nothing like him.
He looks just like I remember.
These ones with Batgirl are actually a key point for my thesis statement on this game as a whole, so I'll be highlighting them when available. But now it's time for a girls' night out as Batgirl goes to see our darling Harley in Blackgate, because what's old is new again, and it seems to be in the midst of a prison riot headed by a clown-themed criminal because what's old is new again.
Well, well. If it isn't Batgirl. You here for a chat? Just us girls. I got ice cream.
Oh yeah, that's definitely why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Was it too much to ask for you to visit earlier?
You have some information for Batman. What is it?
Wait. Wait a second. This means that Bats is dead. For real? Well then. He asked me to profile some criminals. On account of me being a brilliant psychiatrist.
With the added experience of being an actual criminal.
Hey! I am not a criminal! I'm misunderstood.
No more games, Harley. Show me what you've got.
Everything is in this book. But I'm missing my piece de resistance. I need you to follow up on this here card. That'll make it perfect.
Hold on. What did Harley say?
On account of me being a brilliant psychiatrist.
Oh my god. The day has finally come where a Batman game acknowledges that Harley isn't
An empty-headed, fucking dumb fuck.
The night is young, though. There's still plenty of chances to mess this up. Library card captor Barbara heads to the archives and retrieves the file for Harley, which happens to be records about the Penguin. She returns to the Clown Princess of Crime, which activates her trap card as she attaches the notebook to a unicorn balloon and then sends it through a hole in her cell while she summons her inner Joaquin Phoenix, no doubt reminiscing on their bad romance. This kicks the ride into overdrive, so Batgirl has to quell the enemies and retrieve the balloon, all while a truly awful cover of Livin' La Vida Loca blares in the background. Batgirl easily turns all the baddies upside inside out with her dancing in the rain and retrieves the notebook without much issue, other than the minor issue of notorious supercriminal Harley Quinn now being on the loose. But look at the bright side, we got a journal. There's no guides on zombies and gnomes in this one though, only the realization that Langstrom's murder was just the latest in a string of similar murders, and that all the victims were key witnesses whose deaths allowed the accused to get off on appeal. Well, all of them except the aforementioned aviary affectionate, who is their next best lead now that Harley is in the Quind. Now in Chapter 2, 2 new side missions have opened up. You have to dissuade people from linking Bruce Wayne and Batman online, glad someone out there realized it was suspicious that they both died at the same time, and find caches that Bruce hid around the city for top secret Bat reasons. On top of that, there's also a suspicious bomb threat and a break-in at Star Labs. Given how lax their security is, you know it's serious if even they consider it a break-in. And since I have to rip the band-aid off eventually, let's give Robin a chance to leave the nest. R-O-B-I-N is the name! Robin is the definition of death by 1,000 paper cuts because his melee attacks do almost negative damage and make every fight take twice as long because he's a stealth specialist in a game with barely any stealth in it! The bomb threat and a few related freak crimes in the area bring suspicion on a Dr. Q. Gee, I wonder who that could be, who has found a way to recruit upper-class Gothamites into the Freaks. Now let's go see why Barry and however many super friends he has now need our help. Oh, yeah, that's a problem. Thus begins the Mr. Freeze side mission, where he tries to freeze all of Gotham City in retaliation for Batman not curing him before his death, and ends our time with this boy Blunder as we move on to Nightwing. He is fine and he can actually be pretty fun to play as sometimes, though he isn't the best for people who plan to play alone, as one whole section of his upgrade tree specializes in multiplayer bonuses. Finally paying a visit to our old friend Oswald inside the Iceberg Lounge, he is not in a very talkative mood, though does warn that the rabbit hole they're headed down doesn't exactly lead to Wonderland. So that was a huge waste of time, but at least we found out that Bruce was banned from the Iceberg Lounge. I wonder what he did.
Stop that! Mr. Wayne! You have to leave!
The footage is supposedly from a GCPD sting operation. Exactly when Batman was last fighting Two-Face.
You know, I'd almost forgotten he used to do stuff like this.
The best part is, he did it so often, no one's gonna realize this is from a different night.
I guess now we have to find someone else to play sexy distraction for us.
Nope.
I'll do it. I'm great at table dancing.
Wow, this video's really blowing up on social media.
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Man, the interplay between these characters sure would be great in any other game. Speaking of games, the Belfry also contains a cabinet for the arcade game Spy Hunter. And yes, there's a trophy for beating Bruce Wayne's score.
Oh, okay.
Also, this isn't the first time Spy Hunter has appeared in DC media, as it was also parodied in an episode of Teen Titans Go. So that show and this game can bond over both that and having bum-ass Robins. Now let's leave the Robins behind and get back to some good old-fashioned girl power for pretty much the rest of the game, as there are quite a few things to do. Like meeting with Renee Montoya to set up extra side challenges, and meeting with Lucius Fox to set up an overcomplicated fast travel unlock system that involves scanning drones across the city. Or you can just completely ignore all that and focus on disrupting the reformed Penguin's criminal operations in an effort to annoy him and to tell us what rabbit we're chasing. It actually works, as he's all too eager to spill the jelly beans once all the bugs in his office are destroyed.
But no one talks about them. Not a whispered word is said.
The Court of Owls isn't real. The Powers Club.
Yep. Where the super rich go for shits and giggles.
Why does it feel like the DC writers outside of the comics only found out who the Court of Owls were in the last, 5 years and all agreed to just put them in everything? Also, I just want to talk to the guy who decided it was okay to release 2 properties, both called Gotham Knights, that focus on a group of people in the wake of Bruce Wayne's death trying to piece together what happened to him, only to discover it was masterminded by the Court of Owls within 5 months of each other! Batgirl infiltrates the Powers Club, which requires getting through a Resident Evil shadow puzzle that took me way too long to solve, and discovers that the court is way more than a nursery rhyme. She progresses further down, though her attempt at rescue is interrupted by the voice of the court, who sends her crashing down into a fiery death trap that would make even Jigsaw think you're doing a bit too much. What is even the point of all this? It starts with a long drop and a sudden stop that was enough to kill the guy, so all the blades and shit feels really unnecessary. It seems to be effective though, given this absolute mountain of bones.
Definitely bones.
Barbara finds a key and flees to safety, marking the entry into Chapter 3, which means yet more side activities in the form of hidden book pages detailing the Court of Owls' history, and a mysterious faceless mugger terrorizing Gotham's wallets.
Crime scene? Cool. But what about your photographic memory?
Cold case. When I wasn't there, it helps to see it laid out.
The detail is incredible. Commissioner Gordon?
Detective Gordon, at the time.
You made it look just like his statue.
Now that we know about the court, I thought I might be able to close a few of his unsolved cases.
Solid thinking. Oh, I'll help.
I'm good. I'll let you know if I find anything.
It's fine. 2 heads are better than 1.
I'm sorry. I'd like to do this myself.
Sure. Let me know if you need anything.
The Faceless Criminal is actually the last of Gotham Knights' 3 proper side missions. The first is Harley Quinn's rebrand as Dr. Q, where she basically becomes Gwyneth Paltrow and opens her own goop store, when in actuality it's all a cover for her to inject unsuspecting people with untested medical equipment that destroys their mind. Kinda dumb though, I can't think of any realistic scenario where people would happily inject themselves with untested equipment solely because an obviously crazy person told them it would give them hope. The second is Mr. Freeze's attempt to bring about a second Ice Age so that everyone has to live like him and he can finally take the suit off. And somehow that ends in a fight with him inside a giant mechanized spider thing. And the third is Clayface trying to piece himself back together after his last encounter got him on the wrong end of a reservoir turbine. He wants to use himself as the cast and crew of a movie, exposing how Batman is evil for killing him at the reservoir. Man, he'd be the true enemy of the SAG strike. Honestly, aside from being short, these side missions are actually pretty good, especially the Harley one, as the writers have finally found a way to utilize her psychiatric mind in her crimes. And it's a shame there's only 3 of them. I wish they would have added more, or at the very least switched out Mr. Freeze for someone else, since he already got time to shine in Arkham City, Arkham Origins, and Arkham Knight. Back on the Bat track, the key Barbara found unlocks a hidden owl nest that reveals the court has a secret residing within the Chelsea tunnel that they want protected. So let's go unprotect it. Fuck that, they can keep it. These are feral Talon enemies. They suck, especially in larger groups. Deeper underground, Barbara finds a whole mining operation dedicated to something they call Dionysium. Extraction gets a little soggier than anticipated when the voice of the court arrives and tries to flood this place with a legion of feral Talons at his call, though nothing can stop the god Batgirl. It just doesn't hit the same. The Dionysian mystery doesn't last long, as Talia summons Batgirl and tells her it's a contaminated extract from the Lazarus Pit in the court's attempts to discover the Fountain of Youth. It's responsible for creating the Talons and put the court in the League's crosshairs. She warns Barbara that the League will destroy Gotham to dismantle the court if the Knights don't do it first. So we've got the Knights, the League of Assassins, and the Court of Owls. Throw in one more faction and we could be a modern reimagining of the WWF's 1997 Gang Wars. Upon returning, Alfred recognizes the voice of the old woman from earlier as Constance Cobblepot, and they construct a plan to identify more court members by infiltrating a masquerade ball. After meeting with the venue's head of security, the Knights piece together that Batman's death was only a smaller part in the shadow war between the League and the court. Ra's discovered that the court was using Lazarus Pit technology for their own gain, and, willing to do anything to protect his pit, killed Batman so there would be no one stopping the League from destroying the Court of Owls, turning Gotham into a war zone in the process. So no pressure, B-listers.
It's called the Holy Bible, and goddammit, you guys are gonna need it.
Despite a masquerade ball being the perfect opportunity to hide in plain sight, Barbara still takes the Caped Crusade, sneaking in to disable the security and trail the voice of the court to the hotel's secret 13th floor, where she finds a hit list of previous court victims and something even bigger.
The only one hiding behind the mask is you, Ms. Gordon.
Jacob Kane?
Oh wow, a corrupt political figure in Gotham City? Who would have guessed? If you don't remember, Jacob Kane is Gotham's mayor, Bruce Wayne's uncle, and his Googleizer. He gets away after a generic bad guy monologue and sounds the alarm, making for a hectic getaway that gets even more complicated with the arrival of the League of Assassins. Assassins are also annoying as f***, as they can just disappear whenever they feel like it. Batgirl escapes and returns to the Belfry, the whole identifying court members thing having been a major bust since the League have assassinated them all. With no better ideas, they decide to just have another chat with Talia.
Does the statue of my dad look like him?
No. Finally. Somebody else around here who's angry. Bruce is dead. The Court of Owls is real. The League of Shadows is running around Gotham. And you're all trying to pretend everything's normal.
This isn't just about the League or the court. I can't remember Dad's face. Every time I think of him, he just looks like that stupid statue.
And
I have a photographic memory. Where I used to. How can I be Batgirl? Solve crime, fight bad guys. If I can't trust my own brain.
stay angry. and you aim that anger square at every wrong in the world.
Talia is as helpful as usual, just giving vague threats about what the League of Assassins is trying to do, along with saying that Dr. Langstrom, remember him, was researching making talons out of living subjects, as all the talons we've been facing were the result of the Court of Owls trying to revive the dead. The next objective is not to race around the city and bat cycle time trials in what I can only imagine is the bad equivalent of procrastination. It's to assist Detective Montoya by taking care of the defective detectives that are working for the court and proving they're doing so. Rich assholes who love to abuse their power don't take too kindly to people making them realize they aren't as invincible as they think, so the court retaliates by going after the Penguin for leaking information. Wow, I can't believe we're actually going to help Danny DeVito.
I know it ain't worth much to say this, but it was either you or me.
Oh no, he was the gas man! Barbara wakes up in a mystery labyrinth like she was some sort of master detective, but there's no death god to guide her here, just loads of traps and taunts from the voice of the court. She fights through more taunting from the voice of her father and eventually talons, including a new gladiator talon, and busts through the wall of the maze, all without the float, catch, bleed, death, stiff push method.
Wow, look how deep I am. There was nothing like tea and a good book.
Since Barbara read the book, she knows that it's time to talk to the scientists behind the maze and figure out just what the heck is going on. The scientist reveals that this is all an elaborate talon recruitment facility. But how many talons would they need to recruit for all this to actually be cost effective? Alright, you know what? You got me there. She overloads the cooling system, creating lots of popsicle owls, though enough escape into Gotham to create some real problems. The next step in this epic superhero plan of serving Jacob Kane a warrant, how exciting, is to locate Judge Elena Moreno, who went into hiding after her brother was murdered by the court for not stopping the construction on Chelsea Tunnel, where they were secretly mining their Dionysium. Unfortunately, it's pretty hard to hide from an elite secret society with members hiding everywhere, so Batgirl has to save her from the little birdies trying to peck their way through her door. And just like that, she agrees to sign the warrant for Jacob Kane's arrest.
That was easy.
Ahead of their plan to raid Kane Industries and arrest Jacob, all the Knights reveal their identities to Montoya for some reason. I don't know why everyone's so quick to accept the mayor is evil. Maybe it's the giant anti-aircraft machine guns on the roof of his building. Batgirl scales the building and disables the giant gun, descending along with it into the fortress. She fights her way to Jacob Kane's office, where she finds an email from a certain Superman-hating Baldy, makes a supply chain issue joke of all things. She then has to solve a mini Sudoku puzzle to unlock the hidden side of his office, and use a talking laser drill to unlock a hidden elevator in the already hidden office because this suddenly became a Kingsman movie. Batgirl descends into the bunker and fights deeper and deeper to confront Jacob Kane, including going through a room that shows just how good Batgirl's stealth upgrades are, and meets the first batch of Hunter Talons, elite beating machines that can heal themselves, the most annoying ability any enemy can have in any game at any time. But now it's finally time to silence the voice of the court.
I gave you a chance back at the orchard, but you failed me, like you failed Bruce. Like you failed to save your father.
Oh, no boss fight or anything? Alright then. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Jacob! Jacob!
Oh, are we supposed to be shocked that the League of Assassins assassinated somebody? It's as synonymous with their brand as Joe Biden and weird interactions with kids. Batgirl chases down Talia to get some answers, eventually catching up with her atop Wayne Tower, where obvious plot twist is obvious. I know I joked earlier about the Court of Owls appearing in everything now, but I maybe would have stuck with them as the main villain instead of a group that's already appeared in 3 Batman games and a live-action movie. With League attacks cropping up all over the city and our allies scattered for safety, there's no time to lose hope. We have to get out there and keep all of them safe. And by we, I obviously mean Batgirl.
Gotham has called, and I have answered. And I will never abandon her. And I won't forget.
Once they're all secured, they discover that an alarming amount of power has been siphoned to Arkham Asylum, which is especially concerning since it's been defunct for years. Knowing it might be a trap, they have no choice but to return to Arkham. Again. Once inside, Batgirl discovers that Dr. Langstrom was actually working with Talia and the League, though the reason is yet unknown. The power shuts out before she can search everything, meaning she has to venture deeper into the madhouse to find the breaker box. Along the way, finding references to Batman Arkham Asylum through name-dropping Aaron Cash, among others, along with the maximum security cells for Professor Pig and Killer Croc, who'll get their supervillain alter ego on their nameplate for some reason. Who got the power? We got the power! Batgirl notices lights are now on in the tower, where they were conducting sonic tests. On the way there, she can also find Dr. Quinzel's old office, complete with a cat calendar from Selena Kyle and a creepy clown poster to really tie the room together.
This is actually a original Vincent Van Gogh. People don't come over anymore.
Atop the tower, she does not find Joker statues and bombs, just some oscilloscopes to align, which is as exciting as it sounds. Once aligned, she learns that the tests were to control the Dionysium monsters they were creating, and that Talia located a Lazarus pit under Gotham City that she used to help Langstrom with his work. Well, how bad could these monsters be?
Let's not make this into a fight, okay?
Ooh, yeah. That's bad. So instead of just having one Man-Bat, Kirk Langstrom, the League of Assassins has mass-produced Man-Bats. Hooray! Batgirl takes out the Man-Bat, but the Batman takes out the Girl-Bat in the process.
When I was injured, everyone expected me to quit. That was never gonna happen. Protecting people runs in my veins.
Those hooded strings, they are driving me insane.
It's what I do. No matter what alias I go by. That's who I am. That's who I'll always be. As long as there are people who need me.
I'm certain you already know what must be done.
The Man-Bats are the worst part of this game, as they're just overly repetitive mini-bosses that take too long to defeat. You have to do 3 others for story purposes, but if you want that platinum trophy, you have to beat 10! Regardless, the team locates the Gotham Lazarus pit, and it just so happens to be under the Wayne Crypt. Who could have seen that coming? The League have made some renovations on the crypt, digging a massive tunnel network that goes into the Batcave and beyond. Batgirl eventually spelunks her way to the Lazarus pit, where Talia is waiting to show off her new general, a resurrected Bruce Wayne who has been manipulated and influenced to follow the League, under the assumption that everyone he loves is dead. So Barbara, like a good friend, helps Bruce get his memories back by beating the bat shit out of him in what really should be the final boss fight, but it isn't, as Talia isn't too thrilled that her months of planning went down the crapper thanks to a lesson taught in My Little Pony, so she takes a stab at Bruce and takes his place as the final boss. The Court of Owls eventually show up, new voice and all, but all they do is make Talia pick up a lance that somehow refills her health bar after she takes them out with a chi blast or some shit. She eventually goes down and just vanishes because lol, who needs conclusions, but the court is still there and all too ready to take control of the Lazarus pit. However, Bruce still has one more trick up his sleeve. He tells Barbara how proud he is of all the Knights have done, gives a strange monologue about greedy rich people and pandering politicians, then drives the Batwing right into the Lazarus pit, destroying it and killing all the Talons and himself in the process. And after one final scene of Batgirl exposing the court's existence to the world, the credits roll. The term mid gets thrown around a lot, but I genuinely think this is the best definition of it you can find. Every single positive element of this game has a negative to match it. The game features 4 main characters that all play differently and bounce off each other very well, but there's absolutely no balance between them and really only one of them is good. The game rights the wrong of Arkham Knight and treats the death of Batman with the respect and weight it deserves, but they don't come anywhere close to capitalizing on it as they could have. The Bat Cycle is a fun way to get around Gotham City and doesn't become a burden like the Batmobile, but any other means of travel is locked behind side activities. Harley Quinn's portrayal in this game is the best the character has ever had outside of certain comics like Batman White Knight, but the portrayals of every single other villain pale in comparison to what they did even in the Arkham games. The side quests are more than just doing the same thing over and over and over again until you fight the bad guy, but there's only 3 of them and every boss fight in this game sucks. They expanded on the random acts of violence from Arkham Origins to make the city feel more alive, along with removing the one-night restriction of the Arkham games, but the gameplay is overly repetitive, featuring a combat engine that is nowhere near satisfying enough to warrant the repetition, and the passage of time is meaningless. I think you get the point. There isn't a single compliment I can give this game where I can't think of a complaint of equal level. Honestly, I think this game suffers from the same problems that ultimately plagued Arrow and The Flash. Over its run, Arrow went from being a show about the fucking Green Arrow to being a show about Green Arrow, Spartan, Overwatch, not that one, Black Canary, White Canary, Speedy, Arsenal, Mr. Terrific, Wild Dog, Black Canary again, and Oliver's future kids. The Flash went from being a show about the Streak to being a show about Iris West, and occasionally Killer Frost and all the other nicknames she went by, Vibe, whatever Tom Cavanaugh felt like doing that season, Jesse Quick, Jade Garrick, Kid Flash, Elongated Man, Allegra, Chester, fucking Chillblaine, Barry's future kids, a fucking again, and on very rare instances, The Flash. Injecting these stories with so many main characters meant that none of them got any level of focus or consistent character building and storytelling. Everyone had to have something to do, so any semblance of a main plot was buried under the wealth of drama-driven side plots. And in case you've never seen a CW show, character-centered drama is far from one of their strong suits. Gotham Knights suffers from that same problem. Batman's death can absolutely work as the inciting incident for a game, but having to balance the weight of that between Nightwing, Red Hood, Robin, and Batgirl just meant that it fell far short of its potential. We don't get nearly enough character-centric moments on how they're dealing with Bruce's absence, as every element of the plot is designed for any one of them to be there. The only moments we get are these small side stories that are completely missable. I firmly believe the game, as it is, would have worked so much better as a Batgirl game. Not only do you get the brownie points of a female-centered superhero game, but Barbara having to deal with the loss of both her father figures and trying to fill both of their roles as a beacon of light for the city and its dark protector would have been way more interesting than what we ended up getting. Also, she's the only knight in the game who actually has Bat in her name, so her being the one to step up and take his place makes all the sense in the world. Then you can tell the story of her trying to be too much like Bruce and learning that she has to do things in her own way while still honoring his legacy. The final score for Gotham Knights is a 5 out of 10. Because instead of what I said, we got a pretty plain story with no emotional core, weighed even further down by repetitive and occasionally frustrating gameplay that comes nowhere near close to sniffing the same air as the Arkham series or even Marvel's Spider-Man. Let me know what you thought of the game if you played it. As for me, well, I think there's magic in the air and problems that need sorting. So grab a hold of your wands, call your brooms, and get ready to go back to school. I hope to see you there.
Continue.